Hello, Amanda. How are you?
Oh, good. How are you?
Good, thank you. Good, good, good. So yes, thank you very much for taking the time to join us, Amanda. Yeah, I will leave you to introduce yourself and give us some quick insights of some stories from your side, please.
Okay. Well, first,
Yeah.
thank you so much for inviting me. It's
Mm,
been so interesting hearing from everyone else so far, and there's a lot of parallels in
yes.
everyone's story so far and mine. I think you'll notice.
Yes. Yes.
So I am the Deputy Director of Sustainability and Community
Mm,
Outreach for the Hudson County Improvement Authority. Hudson County is made up of 12 towns that are in New
right.
Jersey, and we're right across the river from Manhattan.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, every large corporation and major city has someone that's responsible for developing sustainability goals and initiatives. But
Mm,
12 years ago, when I first started my journey into finding a career that I loved, that wasn't around actually. In fact,
right.
I'm here in New Jersey, which is where I grew up. Um, Out of the 550 municipalities, we had about 5 people that had a title that where they were responsible for doing sustainability work in their town. So
Mm,
it was
mm.
just really crazy, right? So,
Yeah.
and actually, the word sustainability back then was used a lot differently than it is now in the public and
Today,
private
yes.
sector. So that's really,
Right.
I guess,
Mm.
makes me hopeful, I guess, that things are moving fast.
Mm. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
when I went to college, I enrolled to become an orthodontist
Oh.
because both my parents, they came from Amman, Jordan,
Mm-hmm.
and one of my parents has a high school diploma. They came to this country. I was the firstborn. And of
Right.
course, they had high expectations and wanted me to be a doctor.
Of
That's really what
course.
they wanted.
Yes.
And so I really had no direction in life, and I agreed with their, sentiment and understood my
Mm.
responsibility here.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I enrolled in school to become a dentist. And it took a few semesters for me to realize that it was not for me and that it was
Mm.
not going to be something I wanted to do for the rest of my life.
Yes.
And so I started doing environmental activities on my campus. I started learning about sustainability and about climate change. And it was
Mm.
then that I understood that climate change what is the biggest issue of our time, that future
Mm.
generations are going to be burdened with the
Mm.
inaction that is happening right now on climate. So, um, and because I was learning about the solutions in school to climate change, I felt a deep responsibility for doing anything that I can as an individual to make some of those solutions happen in my own community.
Mm.
Um, so I was kind of nervous about what my family would say, so I changed my major without my family knowing. And I started going to rallies and protests and learning about going to trainings to learn about how to be a successful organizer and advocate for
Mm.
my own community, gaining a lot of female mentors, which was very important at this part of my career. And once I embraced this passion, a lot of doors opened for me to
Mm.
practice this new passion that I had. So I became a UN youth representative, where I got
Okay.
to learn about different cultures and perspectives around the world. I
Mm.
started working part time for my own town as doing environmental work.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
when I graduated college, we had basically successfully put together a program from the ground
Mm.
up in sustainability. It was so successful, the residents loved it, and it was very natural for the mayor and council to create the very first position for me in their town as environmental director, uh,
Oh, okay.
which is really
Great.
exciting. Yeah, and
Yes.
I did that for a few years. I went back to school and got my master's in sustainability management from Stevens Institute in Hoboken. Give them a shout out. And
Mm-hmm.
um, and then about a year later, I got asked to step into this new role where I'm now working with 12 municipalities to develop sustainability goals.
Wonderful.
And
Great.
yeah, I mean, it's just it's interesting because there's so many different lessons that comes from a story like this, I think, but
Right.
one that I'll impart now before we, I guess, dive into it more is the importance of trusting yourself. Trusting myself really, really was one of the most impactful things that I did for myself, and is I think where I am today, because years ago when I was looking for a career in this, so many people told me I wouldn't be able to afford it and that I wouldn't be able to find something. But I knew that if I was good at what I did, that I would find somewhere where someone would value that. And I'm really glad that I thought that, because I ended up being, I ended up in the right place.
Yes, awesome. That's really, really great, Amanda.